Hi again, it's Laura at Hyperstamper. Today's antique junk journal is a big one. It is 6.5 by almost 10 inches, and it is substantial. Well, I guess you can't see the weight, can you? But it is absolutely jam-packed with antique and vintage ephemera. Like, you just cannot believe how much stuff I put in here. I just went nuts. Before I put it in my Etsy shop, just a reminder, there's no tariffs on any of my journals. They're exempt, and I use courier service instead of postal service, so it's trackable and it gets you really nice and quickly. And what else? I think that's it. Oh, sorry, I'm just removing a little pin here. Before I start out, I can tell you a little bit about the book. This is a gorgeous new student's reference book here with the spine. I was able to keep it all intact, and it's from 1921. It's a beaut. Now, what I did here, this is the cover of another book that was absolutely destroyed, but the title of the book with the gold inlay, it was intact. And I loved it because it was Garden Guide, and that's from the early 1900s, as is this original plate here, which I just trimmed down around the border so it would fit on the book cover. And that is from the early 1900s, from a botanical book. And it is stunning, isn't it? And then I added this vintage doily trim. And because it was this beautiful botanical garden guide sort of thing, I tried to put lots and lots of flowers and botanicals inside. So let's take a look. Here's the original inscription from a mother and father to their children in 1922. And then over here, this is a page from this book, The Garden Guide. It was a library book, and it was from the early 1900s, but it did make its way to a library here. And this is the 1967 onward library pocket. The card was not in there, but I filled it with this 1950s nature sticker book piece. And then back here, I put in from a vintage Birds of America book, this gorgeous warbler page. And that is so colorful and beautiful. This is a vintage botanical book page as well. And this is from an early 1900s antique book, just the first page of the book. It's just got beautiful illustration there. And this was also the cover of a vintage book from the 30s. And it was, I think the book was called Neighbors and Friends. So I was able to cut that out. I couldn't save the cover, but I was able to save that as a journaling tag. And this is my last one of these, which makes me so sad, but because it's tall, it gets to go in a tall book. And it's one of these antique safety loop hooks and eyes, the bar loops, and that is from the 1920s, and it's fabulous. Isn't that nice? You can have lots of fun with that. This is the spine of a vintage book as well, just because it's pretty. And this is Wildflowers of America book page, which I love. Another little botanical piece here. And then that is a 1950s postage stamp collector's page. And here we have this lady in her garden. And these are outfits that you can wear in your garden. I actually think that is fantastic. Look at that. Isn't that great? And this is from Women's Day, 1953. Awesome. These are just from vintage book here, and that is from an antique newspaper advertising Bovril, which was like kind of like a soup broth that sorry. Oh, that should make the blooper reel. Soup broth that you would drink, and it was really good for everyday health. Here's one of my pressed flowers. Oh, it's just so funny. And here is one of my vintage receipts from the 70s. And this is one of Hogarth's etchings from 1850. And this one is called Analysis of Beauty. It's got all the ways to draw the human anatomy. This is from the 1940s. And this is another Stickum book page. We've got the little boy here by the car and some flowers from a garden here, picnic basket, bus. Just a really, really fun little piece. And this is from a 1950s country folk and country songs magazine. And that, yeah, just really fun reading there. Great graphics and advertising. Now, even though this is color, it is 55 years old. And that is in what looks like it might be a botanical garden. Oh, yes, Butchard's Gardens, Vancouver. That's cool. 1970. And then there is a vintage playing card, a really, really pretty one with gold inlays as well. And then here's a 1950s little teeny tiny vintage playing card. Look at those sweet little kittens. Classic 1950s design. Over here, I've got this vintage dictionary page with the word art. And then this is a gorgeous 1910 postcard to Iowa. And look at that gorgeous poppy. Look at all the gold around it. It's absolutely fabulous. I love it. And then here has more flowers on this 1940s baby card. And it's also got the roses and gold inside as well. And you can open that up and journal inside. So that's actually a great space for journaling and note-taking. And over here, this is from the 1930s, a student's work page. I love the cloth reinforcements there. And this was drawings of a wild aster, so also plants. What a project page there. And then this is from, now I think this is funny, but I chose it because it's from Better Homes and Gardens. So it has the word gardens in it, and it's Lemony Delights. Is that fun? And if you have one of my journals and you get a recipe, I challenge you really to try the recipes. They're still as good as they ever were or will be. Some vintage stamps from the 30s here, a great 1950s postcard back, and a 1950s little picture from a vintage lookbook. How cute is that? The woman in the garden. Lots of beautiful gardening things. There's another piece of that other side of that botanical vintage page. And that is from 100 years ago, a children's exercise page. And this here is an old piece I've got. You can see that you've got the palmistry piece here on the back from an antique book. And then this is the United States expenditures per person for library service by state. Is that neat? I love that, how much each state spends on library services. This is another vintage botanical book page that you can have fun with, upcycle it. And this is another one of these great 1950s pilot's logbook page, and all the places that he visited, or flew to within a week. And sometimes he would do 3 and 4 flights a day. Here we have this wonderful little 1920 page. This girl is learning to can jars, and you can see she's learning how to seal them up there. And then I put some antique paper on the back, and you can journal on both sides there as well. I'll tuck her back in here. And then this is just a sweet little page from the 1940s. Look how sweet this little girl is. You can collage her as well. And that's all posted on top of an 1850s school architecture page. And this one here is another lovely Philadelphia school, the Jefferson Grammar School. Here is a vintage 50s map. I love the colors of it. And this is a antique book page. Just has some wonderful scenes here, Strathfield. And then this is another 1920s page from the book, The Prize. That was the one I did a long time ago with the puppy on the front. Beautiful book, beautiful illustrations, and more of this. I was going to cover this page with a pocket, and I just couldn't do it. Look at, there's Madison. I have a friend who lives in Madison. Just the great colors there. This is from a vintage scorecard set. It could be used for any game, bridge, Yahtzee, anything. I love that it's just got the lines and you can fill it in. And this is from a vintage Trees of America book. And more of this beautiful school architecture. Isn't that lovely? Another Philadelphia school there. I wonder if they're still standing. I should have looked that up. Here's a vintage pocket here from a school book. And then this is one of Page's, and this is the Chicago Bridge and Iron Company. I couldn't find a date on it, but I'm guessing by the way it's typed and the wording that it's from about the 1940s, possibly earlier. And I've got some really cool vintage trim here, the daisy trim. And that's another one of these wonderful 100-year-old pages. This is a vintage applique piece here. And then inside here, I've got a hawk feather and a antique book with this plate of a hawk on it. See? You can almost tell where the feathers would go, right? I love it. There we go. Fun. And this came from that wonderful 1930s honeymoon scrapbook. And the bride, I believe, cut out all of these beautiful, she probably bought souvenir cards. And look at that. Copley Plaza. I could want to go there. Look at it. It's so cool. Anyways, I just love these so much. I wasn't able to break that down. I would have ruined it. So I just left the whole thing intact. That's all on top of a 1904 English garden book. This is from the 1920s here. Another botanical page. This is from a vintage science book, and that is The Sun, obviously. And I put it in here because you need the sunshine to make the flowers. And then we've got an antique book page down here, Out with Romany once more, little bird there. And then this is also from an antique book from the early 1920s, and there's just lots and lots of space there to do your journaling on. This is from the book, Garden Guide. Here, I turned it, it was the front page, 1944. Oh, sorry, I thought it was 1904. 1944. And then this here is a beautiful vintage, it's got the garden down here, so I thought that was kind of fun. You can do some collaging as well as that, or repurpose it. More fun images here. This is from the this is from the 1800s. That is from Chatterbox. Another garden scene up there. And this is from the early 1900s, Riley's Book of Poems. And this is from 1955, the Illustrated London News. I just love the graphics they use. Love, love, love it. Look, if you really take a good look at everything when you get one of my journals, because the detail that they used is phenomenal. And this is just a really pretty plate from a pocket novel, and early 1900s as well. And then this here is from the 1890s. And we've got this lovely little illustration here and a beautiful poem on the back that I didn't have the heart to cover. And then over here, this is the original spine of this book, really big, thick book, as you can see, which is why it took me so much to fill it up. And then this is the page of one of these wonderful My Book House books. Just really colorful and fun. Journal on the back of that as well. More journaling space here. Also early 1900s, we've got the dandelion flower there and some flowers up top on that first page. And this is a vintage botanical book, and I love it. I just love it so much. I love how it's discolored. I love the artwork. It's just fabulous. Same with this here, 1940s page, 1970s ledger page. The book is actually from the 1950s though. And this is a plate from an antique book from the turn of the century, and their fascination with exotic animals from South America and Africa. Just that great. Just look at how neat that is. Oh my gosh. Some pretty deers from that same vintage book, Birds of America. And then there's another little vintage page made into a pocket. And I ran this through a die machine just to give it some character. Postcard from the 40s. And then this is another really cool page from an art book, Design for Arts and Crafts, and just all these really neat different ways you can do your art. And we've got some flowers in amongst those there as well, and here. And this is cool. So first I'll start with this one. This is from another antique book, The Ladder of Swords, and it's got this gorgeous plate in it. It fell out and it was very brittle, so I just glued it onto the back of the same book page there. And you can do lots of fun journaling in that. And then this here is really neat. This is the Women's Day 1953 calendar. So each month you would turn it over and put that out. And what I like about it is in 2026, next year, it's the same calendar. So, for example, April 1st is on a Wednesday in 2026. So it's the exact same calendar. And so you can actually use that next year. Isn't that neat? So that's it. I hope you love it as much as I loved making it. Hyperstamper.etsy.com. Leave me a little message, subscribe, come back soon, visit my Etsy shop, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.